What's going on, everyone? Graydon here with the LPM podcast. We got a great guest today. We got Ben Bradi. What's going on, buddy?
Mate, lots of awesome things. Great to be here with you, mate. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We've just had the Flair release, and you have a number of cards that you've painted and drawn in this set. Do you want to? Which characters did you do?
Okay, testing me. All right, so
just do a couple. See a couple.
So we'll start with Elektra, Iron Man, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, Shang-Chi.
Nice.
I feel bad. Did I say Iron Man? Iron Man.
You're a busy guy. Don't feel bad.
Captain America.
I want to talk to you about the Ghost Rider that you did. The Ghost Rider is one of the best Ghost Riders I've ever seen. Like with the chain coming out towards the viewer, like it is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that I love that piece. That was the first one I started with when I got the email and I got the list. I was like, okay, I'll pick that character, and I thought, yeah, I love Ghost Rider. Like I still collect these books, and I was like, okay, I had to do that one first because I was just pumped on it, and I think I've just put a lot into it because it was the first piece for Marvel like licensed art that I'd ever done.
Cool.
And so obviously all that excitement and energy I think got in there, and I think it shows, which is cool.
It really does. I mean, you definitely know the character. It's interesting you say that you collect the comics of Ghost Rider and that you're now doing your first Marvel set. It must be surreal. And something that's amazing about these sets is that the artists are also fans.
Yeah. I think a lot of artists, like we're kind of like, as kids, we start off wanting to do art because we see great art. And as kids, we're usually introduced via like animation or comic books or, and so like, I had the cards as a kid. I collected comics as a kid, and to be working on this stuff 30 years later or something is pretty insane.
That's pretty cool. Can we talk a little bit about your origin story as an artist? So what was your first medium that you started to realize, like, wow, I'm an artist?
That's an interesting question. I can't tell you when I thought, okay, I'm an artist. But I definitely always drew as a kid. That was kind of like my thing that, like, I think as parents, they loved it because it was very easy to control a child that would just sit in the corner and just draw all day long. So I think they appreciated that. No complaints there. But I've always drawn. I've always loved the art. And it was also a way that I could kind of like bring some of that art and fandom into my world. Like we didn't have a lot of means growing up, so I can't go buying all the toys, I can't go buying all the comics, but I can draw my own stuff and be like, okay, here's my own little version of the Wolverine done by Jim Lee that I can put up on the wall. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of that comes from like you wanting to be a part of that world, but also like you're inspired by it, and all of that art always kind of like blew me away as a kid. Sorry, I completely lost the question.
So throughout drawing, did you get into painting? Did you get into digital art? Like, what was the next step where you started doing art a little bit more seriously than just doodling?
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. Okay. So in terms of that, in terms of I'm going to do this professionally. That started about 10 years ago. So I was always kind of doing art on the side, just more as a hobby and for fun. Like I've kind of done everything. Like I fell into tattooing at one point. I was doing graphic design at one point, all kind of leading towards like, I just want to draw. But you don't get that job day one. You usually kind of like have to do a ton of rigmarole and then like, okay, now here we go. We'll let you do some drawing. So yeah, I think at 30, once I got a job in gaming, doing art for online games. That was kind of like a bit of I wasn't doing full illustrations like I do now, but I was at least being paid to do art. And so I was able to practice art daily, and study, and always seeing these other artists and wanting to push myself. I'm like, okay, I'm getting paid as an illustrator, but there's always this next stage that I was always chasing. And so that really was like, okay, that's it. From pretty much 30 onwards, I just focused on art and have been doing it ever since. Like,
very cool.
Yeah.
So you said this is your first licensed Marvel product. You've been working on Flair for quite a while. It's been years in the making, has it not?
Yeah, it was. It's been over 2 years ago when I got the email from Upper Deck. I had Erica reach out. from Upper Deck and was like, "Hi, do you know about? I'm from Upper Deck. Don't know if you know the company. Wondering if you'd be available to do some work for us." And I instantly went to like, "Yep, I completely know Upper Deck. Would love to do anything for Upper Deck." And then when after signing an NDA, the offer was, "Would you like to work on this Marvel product?" And that's when my head explodes and go, "Yes, please." Just point me in the direction. So that was like just during COVID. I think COVID had just broken. I don't know if I should be saying, but and so it was kind of like I was locked at home anyway, and I was like, this is perfect timing to just focus on this art and have fun with it. So it was great.
Very cool. Do you have a preferred medium to work in? Is there like a specific, like, what do you like to work with?
At the moment, it's I'm actually studying traditional oil painting. So I've been a digital, like I obviously, everyone starts with pencils and inks. Like I had my little stint at trying to be a comic book artist. So it was just like line art and inks, so pencils and inks. And then it was been digital because a lot of commercial work in the gaming industry, it's all digital, needs to be quick.
Yeah.
And so I've been digital artist for the majority of my, I guess, art career.
Yeah.
And only within the last year, I've started taking up oil painting. And I don't think I'll be looking back because I enjoy it so much. It's just so much more fun to be like actually playing with the paints and sticking your thumb really in there and moving things around.
Right.
Just having that direct connection with the art is, it's hard to beat. So it's really hard to go back to a computer screen and get excited when you could be like, I'm going to play with paints over here.
Oil paint is kind of magic, the incredible drawing time that it takes, but the amount of time you get to still go back and rework and blend and all that is really nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I was like always been admired and enjoyed, but was like, it just seemed like such a crazy thing to try and attempt because there's like it's almost like a science to it. There's certain level, like ways you need to do it. There's a process, and I just bit the bullet and have watched tutorials. Dan DeSantos has an amazing beginner's guide to oil painting on his Patreon that I literally just sat in front of for it's like 3.5 hours or something, and took down notes. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try and absorb as much of this, and have been doing it since, and it's been awesome. Yeah.
I've heard a number of people say that they got a lot out of those Patreon videos from Dan. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, no, he's an incredible teacher. He shares. He's got like a wealth of knowledge, like 20 years, creating amazing work. So yeah, it's so generous of him to kind of just put that out there for people who are interested. It's awesome.
That sort of leads me to my next question: is that do you have a favorite artist in the Marvel world of these paintings and cards?
Oh, okay. It's hard to say favorite. Like if I'm going to pick favorite, I'll just say nostalgia wise, I have to go Hildebrandt because that was the first. Yeah, it's the first introduction to like seeing Marvel art taken to that kind of like, it's like kind of like, I don't know, like pristine or
it's like brought to the light. Everything is just brought to light.
Yeah, it's just so dynamic. Like I love comic art. I love line art. I love everything that's done in comics, but it's just this other level where you take it to a level of like seriousness where I'm just like,
I agree.
Wow, these characters really exist, it really pops off the page. And yeah, Hildebrandt's colors and the way everything is so dynamic. I remember as a kid looking at that and going like, how is that even done? It's awesome. And I'm still asking that today. How is that done?
Very impressive. Hildebrandt stuff is really lasted the test of time. In the modern sets, do you have, asking someone their favorite anything when you're an adult, like asking your favorite movie, like I have 10 of them. It's so difficult to narrow down. But in the modern sets, I mean, who is it, whose work do you look at and think, wow, this is a benchmark. This is really amazing.
Oh, that's hard. Dan DeSantos's Masterpieces set is killer. It's so good. It's so good. But then so is Palumbo's and so is Bianchi's. So I'm just like,
each one of those artists has a very different style. And when you say that Dan is someone who really resonates with you, it's there are strong reasons behind that. The work is really unique.
It is. And I think it's also he kind of captures a lot of the stuff that I enjoyed of the early Hildebrandt, of the Vallejo art. Like he brings a lot of that into kind of his work, I think. And I think that's why I'm kind of very drawn to it. And when I saw Masterpieces, and that's literally like when I saw his work come out, I was like, okay, I only really found out about Dan's work then, and then was like signed the Patreon up
Yeah.
and just dug in. I'm like, okay, whatever he does, like I just gotta try and figure out how he's doing what he does because it's amazing.
He's a really talented artist for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Are you continuing to work with Upper Deck on other sets? Are there more sets that you don't have to tell us which ones, but are you a part of future sets at the moment?
I hope so. I there are other things that I have worked on for Upper Deck.
Yeah.
Obviously can't mention what they are.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I'm definitely put my hand in the ring for any more work. So yeah, they keep sending it my way. I'll keep doing it because it's a lot of fun. And like in all honesty, like it's been what, two and a half-ish years doing the art, sitting it in like the closet, waiting for it to come out. And with Platinum coming out a little bit earlier, and Flair, the biggest thing that I've enjoyed about it is the community, like the card collecting community, and like I like to say art collecting community that it is so generous and so like friendly and supportive. And yeah, I think that alone just makes me like, okay, I need to make like the best thing I can ever do always for these guys because you guys really appreciate it. You really enjoy the art and celebrate it. And I think as artists, that's kind of something that you don't really get so much, like especially in the professional field, like we put it out there, especially commercially.
Right.
Very little credits given to the artist. But yeah, when you see this, the way that the artists are kind of like, I don't know, like supported in the community, it's just mind blowing. And it's been a trip. I've enjoyed every second of it.
I think the purpose of collecting cards is that you love the art and you have an opportunity to not have to own the original piece and just have one, but you can collect the art through the images that have been reproduced in cards. Like that's the fun of it.
Exactly. And yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I went back and started collecting all of those like base sets that I didn't get as a kid, because I just loved looking at the art. I just was like it'd be nice to collect all the inserts and all of that, but I just want to collect the base set just so I can enjoy the art through each of the different sets, because it's just so good. It's so good.
I think that's something that people are noticing that Flair has done a really good job with, is continuing on the aesthetic from the 90s. Were you aware of that? When you were making your images, were you trying to hold true to the 90s images, or can you tell us a bit about that?
I was, yeah. So when I got that that email, the first thing I actually did was went and bought the art book for Hildebrandt work that they did, because I was just like, I was like, I need my stuff to look somewhat like that. And so I literally just studied their work and tried to pick like the vibrant colors, dynamic posing and lighting. And I was like, I need to bring this into it. I need to bring that into it. So yeah, I was heavily influenced when creating these images from that work, because that's what made me fall in love with it in the first place when I was a kid. So I really drew a lot of inspiration from that, but I didn't know what sets they were. So they were kind of like under project names, and I don't know if it's like projects change. Like there was a name, but it wasn't the final name. And so I was like, I wouldn't know. Like for instance, I wouldn't know it was coming out of Flair. I just knew that it was a set. They had another name for it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's that. But it ended up being something else, which is all fair. It's fair enough. But yeah, it's still cool. It's still kind of all worked out because I still drew inspiration from that period. And then I remember the Flair sets as a kid coming out, and they were like a premium product. They were like a Grail kind of card. Like when those came out, everyone was just like, "What is that?" They looked so dynamic and they looked so like premium, I suppose. So when I saw that like my art was on the Flair sale sheet, I was like, "Oh, that is sick! That is so cool."
That's a huge moment. So happy to hear that like lit you up.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, because it's that brand that you knew growing up. Like everyone knows Ultra Fleer, everyone knows Flair, and Masterpieces. I think were the three main ones that kind of like at the time when I was collecting. So to see your stuff on that's pretty cool.
Oh, I bet. I think that's so cool just hearing about it. Something I wanted to lead into here. So I live in Northern Canada. You're in Australia. What is it like working on like an American product and then being in another country? Are Marvel cards big where you are, or were they big when you were a kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were big when I was a kid. They were big. I think it was all during that comic boom. Was around the time I was a kid. So Death of Superman, Jim Lee X-Men run, like all of that stuff, like Image Comics. That's when I grew up. And everyone loved comics at the time.
Yeah.
So, but then it dropped off. Like I think come, I don't know, a few years later, it kind of just disappeared, which was a bit sad. And then the comic shop started closing, and they never really opened back up again here in Australia, which is a bit sad. Like right now, there's only two that I know of, unless I'm missing one. Someone can reach out, let me know. But in Sydney, Australia, there's only like two that I know of that I can get access to. But there also isn't much of a card collecting niche community. It's not as big, which is unfortunate. Like I see all the conventions and things going on over in the States, and I'm just so envious. I'm like, oh man, that'd be so cool to go and attend.
We often joke that I'm really far away from so many of the conventions, but you are on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's still daytime there for you, which is cool because usually when I'm dialing in, it's like nighttime.
Yeah, so you know what's interesting? So I live so far north in I live on an oil rig in northern Canada. And in the summertime, I'm so far north that the sun barely sets. So the sun only sets for about 4 hours a night.
No way. So can I ask, what time is it there then?
Right now, it is 7:15 p.m. But the sun will go down at about 1 a.m. and it will come up at around 4:30.
That is mind-blowing. Wow.
Yeah, the north is a very crazy place. And then in the wintertime, it's dark for a very long time.
No, okay. All right. So you get the best and worst.
The sun will come up around 9 a.m. and then will set around 4. So you get a very brief window of daylight, and it's minus 40 degrees Celsius. So it's cold.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a unique place up here, but it's a fun place to collect Marvel cards because they ship to the house. So you know, shipping's a big part of this Marvel hobby. Something I wanted to get to with you is that, are you doing any sketch cards for these products?
No, not for the ones that have come out. I have put my hand up for future sets.
Cool.
I don't know if I can say what I've done and what I haven't done.
I don't want to get you in any kind of trouble, so let's just keep it to yourself.
But let's just say I'm up for all of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing if somebody pulls a sketch of yours at some point in time. That would be really, really cool. I think that it's really neat when you have artists who are part of the licensed set and then also have sketch cards in it. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I saw that with Platinum and Miles's work, where he had his original art and he had his sketch cards coming through in the Platinum set, and I was like, that's cool. That's really, really cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Did you get to pick your characters, or are they assigned to you?
I got to pick them, and it was really cool list. The initial list I got for this set was huge, so it was really hard to drill it down to the characters I wanted to play with. So I just picked all of like my favorites and my kids' favorites. Like I picked Iron Man and Hulk because my boys love them both.
Cool.
Picked Elektra for myself because I'm like somewhat of a collector. I wouldn't say I'm like full-on PC collector, but
right,
the collector's her. And then just tried to pick a few of the other bigger characters that are on the list, which was awesome. It's pretty crazy to be able to like, here you go.
Yeah.
Pick the tools that you want to play with. I'm like, oh,
that's amazing. I think that a lot of people in Marvel cards wonder about how much choice artists get in which characters they're going to do, because sometimes there's confusion of like, why on earth is this character, like, why are there 4 Squirrel Girls in this? You know what I mean? Like, just people wondering about character selection. And frequently when this question's asked, the artists are like, you know what, I did get to pick from a list, and they got to pick some cool ones.
Yeah, that was cool. Like I did notice, like when I did the cards for Platinum, it was a shorter list. So obviously there'd already been some art had already been commissioned. So some characters already been pulled off of it.
Yeah.
But for the Flair one, there was much longer. But it was interesting to see that like with the Flair product, there is like, there were comments of like, there's so many Dr. Dooms. And it was just like, oh yeah, that's cool. But at the same time, it's a little bit intimidating when you've got yours out there and then you've got Dave Palumbo's right next to him. You're like, oh geez. That's a bit of a hill to climb, but yeah, it's cool.
Your Doom card is spectacular. Can you give me 1 sec? There's someone who just knocked at the door. Give me 1 second.
All good.
Hi, how you Let me grab it.
And I'm taking a flower pot.
And you're taking a flower pot. Yeah. Are you taking Robin's mail too?
Yeah, give it all to me.
Okay, there's a Sam one here, and there's.
Because I'll just, I'm going for August, so I'll take it for her when we go.
I won't visit, I'm just introducing her. Great to see you.
See ya.
I am so sorry about that.
Oh, no, don't be silly. It's fine.
What on earth were we just talking about? The Doctor Doom cards. The Doctor Doom cards.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll jump back into it in 3, 2. And the Doctor Doom card that you did was, I think, one of the best ones in the set. But you were saying it's intimidating with other people, huge artists, doing so many Dooms. Like, how did you approach it? Did you have references that from comics where you were like, I'm gonna make it look like this one, or what was your process?
Yeah, so my process was, Erica sent me, like, when you pick the cards, they send you a character brief. So they've even picked the costume that you're meant to use. So for some of them, like Iron Man, for instance, like, it was a suit I'd never seen before, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that was a bit of a challenge. But with Doctor Doom, I was quite familiar with the classic suit, so I was pretty happy with that. And then I just kind of dug in and tried to find a few poses I just wanted to show power and his power.
Well, you nailed it. I mean, you nailed it.
Yeah, because I was just like, he's Doctor Doom. He's like almighty. So let's make him look super intimidating on card.
Right.
And just, I like the idea of, I'm always trying to kind of do a bit of force perspective and try and push things closer to the viewer. So that big fist in the front was pretty cool. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how that came out. It was a lot of fun to illustrate.
You nailed it. Was there a character that you wanted to do that you didn't get to do?
Oh goodness, yeah, there's about 100. I'd pretty much just say just the entire X-Men, and it'd be awesome to do a Spider-Man, just because it's Spidey. Yeah, but yeah, if I could do like a Wolverine, I think I could do like a Wolverine, Psylocke, Deadpool, and Spidey, because I got to do Electro already. That'd be cool. That'd be nice.
So you mentioned that you're working in gaming and that you're a freelance artist doing this work for Upper Deck and other people. Has working in gaming helped you do Marvel products? Like, is your job creative enough that you feel like you're honing that skill for creating art?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the stuff that I do, it's all about creating appealing artwork, a marketable artwork. So it's commercial. So the good thing about that is that it has kind of trained me to kind of like use colors and create images that are appealing to like a lot of people.
Right.
And which is good because it's also things that I enjoy. So I like to use a lot of bright colors. I like to really kind of like make things pop, I suppose. And so the work I do, it's all like sparkles and shiny, and everything is all glossy and yeah, I don't know what to say, but it's like, it's kind of like very commercial and polished. And I do like that because I do appreciate also the craft that, like, when you look at a work and you're just like, wow, the amount of hours that would have taken, to render that face, and everything is so clean.
Right.
I really appreciate that. So I try and kind of bring a lot of that into what I do. And being able to bring that into Marvel is just, yeah, it's so cool.
Absolutely. Do you have a background? Are you educated in art? Like, do you have a formal training?
Not really, no.
Dan DeSanto's Patreon can take the cake for your.
Yeah, in terms of like oil painting, the last 12 months, like that's from now on, you'll probably see a lot more of my work coming out traditionally. Cool. But all of that's literally from his Patreon. But it really, with art, I think it's just a matter of practice
Yes.
and with studying other artists, watching a ton of YouTube. There's so much free education online.
Yeah.
For art especially, like I've just like followed every artist that I like,
and
watched it. They're on YouTube showing you how they do it, and you could just literally sit there and take it in and be like, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. But I think a lot of art is just time and practice. Like a lot of things, more time invested, the better you get, I suppose.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think the talent is a passion for practice, and I really like what you were commenting on about the YouTube channels for learning how to paint. There is almost no need to go to an institution to learn anymore. I have a ton of friends that have attended Emily Carr in Vancouver and done painting, and I've worked with a lot of artists over the years that were formal formal painters, and you can learn. And this is from them. I never went to art school, but this is from them. You can learn everything that you really need to learn online from these instructional videos. You can learn color theory, mixing colors. You know what I mean? There's a lot out there, and so I love hearing. It's not really taboo anymore to hear that somebody's not a formally trained illustrator or something. Like you can learn on your own.
I think we all just kind of just start drawing. I think a lot of people draw because they enjoy it. And then the more they enjoy it and they start to see a little bit of progress, I'm like, I'm getting a little bit better here. And they just keep going, keep going. And yeah, it's like, I think like that was what was that, a practice of passion? Sorry, I got to remember that.
That's such a talent is just a passion for practice.
I've been trying to capture that for so long to try and explain to people what talent is. And that's exactly right. That's all it is. It's someone who's just passionate about what it is and just invest that time and practice it, and you'll get there. Like that's literally all it comes down to. And with YouTube and all of this free knowledge out there, it only speeds up the process, which is so cool.
I frequently used to download landscape painting tutorials, and they would be like, oh, like try to do this in 15 minutes, try to do this in 20 minutes, and kind of follow along with the program. And it's amazing how much you can get out of it. It's incredible how quickly you can improve at painting through following through on some of these videos.
Yeah, definitely. It's literally just seeing what the artist is doing, mimicking on your thing. You may not get it the first time around to be exactly, but the third, fourth, fifth time, then you're almost like copying like a photocopy machine. Just like, all right, now let's do another one. Let's try something else.
I enjoy asking artists this because in fine art the answers can be different. But which do you prefer more? Do you prefer the process or the end result of a painting the most?
Definitely the process. The end result is kind of it never feels like a finish line. I think as an artist, you always look at it. There's a point where you're just like, I need to stop because I need to do something else. I think that's really what it comes down to. It's like I can't spend my entire life on this one painting. But there is a point where like in the process, especially early on, that excitement of like the possibility of what this could become and what level you could push it to. I think that's my favorite part, where I literally sit there and thumbnail like a whole bunch of little things that could turn into something awesome at the end. I think that's my favorite stage. And then there's like this rendering part in the middle, which is really just churn. You literally just have to like glue your butt to a chair and just sit there and just keep going for 20 plus hours, do the work. And then at a certain point you go, okay, this will do. Stop.
And the reason I asked that question is because with something, especially that's getting reproduced, mass produced into card form, and viewed by such a large audience, like as the artist, your opinion of it in the end kind of doesn't really matter. These people are buying it, and it's you produce the work, and then they get to be the judge, jury, and executioner on how they feel about it in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the pressures that comes with the joy of creating this art, is that there are a lot of people that have seen a lot of great art, and you just want to be like, I just want to do the character justice. I know, like with Ghostwriter, like I like the character, so I was like, I got to make him as good as I'll be happy for him. That way I'll hope that other Ghostwriter collectors will be just as happy. And so I think that was kind of like the bar, but until it's out there in the open and you get the reaction, it's just like, I hope they like it.
In artists reveal, like, you really put yourself out there. You're showing people your work and going public with your work and just being exposed to either the criticism or the praise or whatever. It's a real vulnerability. It's an incredible thing to do.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah, you work on this stuff. And it sits there for a while, but once it's out there, like I hate to say it, but like this whole like culture that everyone's going to be like, how many likes did I get on my thing? Like I hate that.
I agree.
But there is a little bit of that where you're just like, can I just get a few likes and okay, cool, my job is done. Like I did the right thing. That's all I want.
Part of that resonates into collectability. You're as opposed to just the online response. People are buying this product and storing this in binders and chasing after your cards. Like a lot of the cards that you've produced in here, you're a bit of a fan favorite at the moment. People are loving them.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. I've had a few people that like mentioned, they were like, I was gonna skip this set, but then I saw your card and like now I have to buy a bunch. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's a big compliment. It's a
But
big
it's such a nice thing to hear. It's just like that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. It really means a lot.
Absolutely. You touched on it before, but you're not only making this work, but you've also been participating in the community of people opening them and all that. Marvel cards are a really niche community, a really tight community of people. What is something that you've discovered about the Marvel community by participating on the streams and all that?
I think it's the world is very hard. I think the world is very difficult. Everyone's always competitive. There's always like a lot of kind of things aren't always as you'd like them to be.
Yep.
But I would admit, like the card collecting community, it's like I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything, but really is like this kind of utopia of like support and friendship and generosity. And I'm just like, man, these guys are amazing. Like everyone that I've met and that's communicated with me and in contact has just been so supportive and I'm in the Discord channels as well, and just seeing how like everyone's helping everyone out with their collections, and there's no ego or anything. It's really cool. It's something pretty special, and it does make me feel pretty lucky to kind of be like somewhat a part of it. Because
you're a big part of it now.
Yeah, I've had a few people mention it's like, oh, you participate in the community. And I was like, why wouldn't I? You guys are cool. I was like, just come and hang out and watch you guys open packs. It's awesome. Like
I think people enjoy seeing the artists participate a lot, like being there, being able to put a face to somebody who's making what you're collecting. It makes you understand the geography of the product, right? It's really cool.
Yeah, especially being out in Sydney, where like there's not many collectors here. It's great for me to be like, cool, we can interact with other collectors that enjoy the work. Yeah, it's pretty big for me as well. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, it's been a ton of fun. So yeah, in the process of starting off as an artist, I've also become a collector as well. So it's a whole journey.
I really enjoyed watching DeSantos open up masterpiece products with people and getting to participate in it, and seeing kind of it's becoming more normal for artists to be, whether they be sketch card artists on set, being a part of the openings. It's really, really fun, because I think that's something that a lot of us have discovered getting back into the hobby, is how similar all of us are in age, in life experience, in our personal preferences. I mean, I have the YouTube analytics to prove it. We are all a similar age range and interested in similar things. And as we learn more about one another's backgrounds, for me, it makes the world feel a lot smaller, because it seems like the people my age group that are still into the same things we were into when we were younger.
Yeah, it's all the same kids that were collecting like 30 years ago. We just come back and like, now we got cash. Like, all right.
It's funny to see like where everyone from your middle school landed, in life, kind of what like the card collecting community's been like.
Yeah, it is pretty. That's so true. It is so very true. It's so cool.
Ben, this was a really good interview. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today and go over some Marvel stuff.
No worries, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll have to do this again sometime, maybe when we open a product or something that you're on. But is there anything that you want to tell the people about what's coming up with you and where they can find you?
Yeah. Well, I guess just find me at Brado Art on Instagram. I'm always chatty on there. So if you want to come in and say hi, say hi. But yeah, I'll hopefully be about for a little while longer. You guys will see me a little more. We'll see. But yeah, thank you again so much for having me, Graydon. And yeah, I look forward to some more rips in the future.
Awesome, man. Everybody, thank you so much for watching this. I'll have all of Ben's stuff down in the description. Please make sure you go over there and follow his stuff. Lots of cool stuff going on. If you like what you saw here today, subscribe to the channel. The podcast is going. And thanks so much for joining, everybody. See ya.